Yeah. They can probably. Yeah. Where are we? Hey, g'day, Saturday, everyone. Welcome to the show. We're all a bit in the air today. Yeah, hope you had a good week, everybody, and welcome to the show. It's probably Friday where you are, and could be Saturday if you're in Australia. Anyway, we've got a bit of a show today. We're looking at the difference between a bunyip and a dobahu. And we're going to check that out. They're two different animals. And we're going to look at war and drugs, not war on drugs, but war and drugs. And we're going to look at history and war and the use of drugs before the soldiers go to war and the warriors go to war. So it should be interesting. And let's welcome our guests today. We've got visitors. Hang on, I'll just press some magic buttons. And hope everything's working and everyone can hear me. Oh, yeah. And g'day Jules and g'day Polly.
Gee, Lena, that description sounds like another band podcast on the horizon.
Oh, look, so I squeeze so much into one show sometimes, and then I think, hey, I could have made two shows out of them, but I want to keep everyone excited and entertained. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It might end up being a long show, who knows. And g'day, thanks for coming, Polly. How are you?
I'm good, very good, rested. Been saving my drugs for this show.
Yeah, we were talking about that before. Do we just this out before we put it on because we like to have a look? Yeah, it's going to be funny. All right. So how are you cruising? Are you ready? Or do you need to wait a bit more?
Yeah, no. Yeah, we got to wait till like 45 minutes into the show. It should be working by then.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because we're gonna cover the bunyip first, and then we'll get to the war. So by then it should all be kicking in.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
definitely.
45 minutes to an hour. And we'll see how Strawberry Sky feels.
All right. So I actually made some slides this week. So and I got a few articles. So I'll put up some slides and I'll look for some articles while we're looking at the slides. So where are we? All right. So how this all started. Did that go on? It didn't go on. Where is it? So forgive me, I'm a bit slow. I went swimming yesterday and forgot that you use every single muscle in your whole body. And when I woke up this morning, it was like me and my body weren't really aligned together because my body was going, what have you done to me? But we'll get there.
It's all good. I've been slow all week.
We'll get there.
Getting over illness.
And just before we start, I've got to say hello to Joe because Joe's loyal.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe, how are you? I hope you had a really good week. Polly's in there too. All right, so here we are. I was looking around and I found a thing called a dobachu. And I was looking at it and they call it a water dog. And I thought, here in Australia, bunyip has been called many things. Water dog is one of it. And I wonder how similar they are, if they were the same creature or whether they were different. So we're going to have a look at that. And because I collected all the information, I already know what the differences are, but we'll find out the rest together. So I'll just find some articles here that I found. One moment. I would have had all this set up, but I'm out of sync with myself today. So dobachu, here we are. We've got the Irish. The Irish call the Dobarchu the Irish crocodile. Now, pay attention to that and pay attention to the slides I'm going to show you. And then when we get to Bunyip, we'll review all the information because it's quite interesting. And I found a really old drawing as well. So, all right, the Dobarchu, I'll have a read for you. Hang on, we'll look at the slide that I'm looking at. Where are we? All right, we'll just look at some of these slides. This is what they think the Dobarchu could look like. Like, you got to remember, over time, there's different people citing these different things. Some of them tell you about them. Some of them actually draw pictures of them, depending on the day. Check that out.
Oh, that one's throwing up a human.
Yeah.
It's like a hairball. Oh, accidentally swallowed a human.
He must have been mixed up with
Looks like an old ancient prehistoric wood chipper.
Well, that's a picture I'm looking at, and I'll just give you a bit of a read about the Dobarchu, the water hound. The name Dobarchu is Gaelic and translates into water hound. The nickname of this creature, Irish crocodile, may arise from legends about its huge, ferocious appetite and its speed in and out of the water. It's thought to be about 7 feet long and carnivorous. Some think it was an amphibious predator, half wolf, half fish, that lived in islands, lakes and rivers. There are 2 accounts of a 17th century book of men's encounters with a Dobarchu, and one account is mentioned in a poem about a woman who was killed by the beast in the 18th century. There have been no modern sightings of this creature. I actually have the story of that.
It almost looks like Nessie a little bit. Just
yeah,
Scottish heritage, but kind of like the tail and especially along the back, those like lumps and swirls.
Yeah.
It's often footage seen in Loch Ness that's associated with Nessie, and it looks kind of like that. Like, a lot of people say it's a big, a snake or an eel. But if Nessie looks like that, then that's what it could be. It could be a just giant one.
Yeah, because some things could be babies, and then you got the adult, and then you could have 2 things that are similar, and one person sees one thing and the other person sees the other, but they're in the same vicinity. And like I said, over time, things change. So
and that's a weird thing to think about too. Like, are there animals or any kind of cryptids that live on Earth that life cycle is just so long that the average human lifespan isn't going to be around long enough to see its full development and growth?
That's right. Yeah. So you might have seen it. Someone might have seen it as a baby, and then years and years later, it grew up a bit and it looks a bit different. And some things look totally different from a baby to an adult.
Well, yeah, if you look at a tadpole compared to a frog.
Yeah, right. How do we know that they haven't got a cycle like that? Like they totally morph in a period? We don't know these things, so it's all possible. And it could start off real cute looking and end up real.
And that just got me thinking too. Like, maybe some of these legends about some of these animals or creatures came from a time where humans used to live longer anyways.
That too, yes. And we know that was true back when we had the liquid, lots of liquid in there. What's it called? I always forget what it's called.
Water?
No, yeah, it's water. There was another atmosphere, like a thicker atmosphere. And
more CO2 probably, yeah.
Vapor canopy, they call it, vapor canopy, yeah. Because the trees were bigger, so the canopy of air up there was different. And we were way down here. There's a lot of pictures, like these pictures, like this one, that's from that era, when everything was big, the trees were big, there were weird things all around. And probably to them, looking now, it freaked them out, and they go, this is all weird.
So that one's probably eating a giant even.
Could be.
Or maybe the giant is just a dentist.
He's got 5 toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
The giant was a dentist. He was looking after him. Part of the job. All right. So accounts of the Dobartu were written in 1684. Roderick O'Flannery, in his book A Description of West Connaught, wrote about a man's encounter with what they called the Irish crocodile. The man was on the shore of, it looks like Laugh, but it's O. How would you say that? Lough, Laugh?
Oh, that would be called Loch.
Oh, right, Loch Mask.
Yeah.
when he said,
Like you have to be part Arabic to say it.
Yeah, we got, you got to roll your tongue, go like that when we talk. That one's,
Oh, we got that too. Yeah, Gaelic's a very funny sounding language.
Yeah, languages are funny. So, he saw the head of a beast swimming in the water and he thought it was an otter. The creature seemed to look at him and then it swam under the water. Where it reached land, it grabbed the man by his elbow and dragged him into the lake. The man took his knife from his pocket and stabbed it, which scared the animal away, and it was about the size of a greyhound, slimy black skin, and appeared to be hairless. Well, that's a different description.
What do you mean by the size of a greyhound?
A greyhound dog.
I was going to say, please be specific and not a Greyhound bus.
They're a bit different.
Yeah, it is different.
One's quicker than the other.
Yeah.
The other one holds more people.
Yeah.
One smells better than the other.
Yeah, true. And in one, you got to feed them different things. Imagine coming from the past and seeing people get on the bus. That machine's eating people. Old people who knew the lake believed that the Irish crocodile lives there. They reminisced about a man who was walking his dog who encountered one. There was a struggle with the pair against the lake monster when the creature finally went away. When the waters receded after a long period of time, they found the beast's corpse in a cave. Ooh. So otters, there are otters, sea otters that have little caves, but it's still big. Grace O'Connolly was washing clothes at the edge of the lake when she was attacked by a Dobartu. Her husband, McLaughlin, heard the cries and rushed to help. By the time he got there, she was dead and the Dobartu was still there. The man killed her attacker and screamed before it died. Summoning its mate, McLaughlin jumped on his horse to evade the beast. A friend joined him, but they realised the horses couldn't outrun it pretty fast. They dismounted and ducked behind a wall as the beast hurtled over the large otter, impaled by a spear held by a hand. Oh, okay, so he speared it, in other words. The first name appears as Grace, but the last one is illegible due to the ravages of the weather. I'll show you a picture of that grave and the story. They've got a little picture of the guy on the horse and the animal dead. So, all right, so that's that. I'll show you. So the Dobartu. See, that's the otter looking one. They look totally different, don't they? Everything looks so different. All right, here it is. There's the head. See, it does look like a bit of a greyhound. Look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's the spear in there. This is the actual grave. There it is there. That's the wife's grave. And when the husband died, they buried him next to her and they put his story. So that's him on the horse protecting his wife. And this is what they said it could look like. Okay. G'day, Rotman. I saw Rotman on another channel the other day in the chat room. It was like, I got a friend in the chat room. And we realised we've both been watching the same person for ages.
Yeah, you get that. Yeah,
YouTube we
does
just caught up in there. So, yeah, this is what they reckon it looks like.
That looks like a cross between a dog and a sea lion.
Yeah, right.
I know. I was just thinking the same thing.
They call it a water dog.
Hey, so okay, there's water cats and water dogs.
Mm-hmm. And there's a live picture someone took of a very large animal eating a fish that could fit the description. So
That almost looks like a bear.
yeah, I'll just have a look. I did have another article on an older sighting, I think it was. All right. What else have we got here? Dobachu. Oh, that was that one. Oh man, if these were papers, they'd be everywhere. I tell you.
There's no easy way to do it. When you try to prepare, you have to toggle back and forth with screens and blah, blah, blah. And if it comes across looking like you know what you're doing, you've got a good stream.
Hang on. You know when you think that you've done stuff and then you go back and go, hang on, didn't I do that? And then you didn't. Like I was thinking this morning, do you wonder sometimes where your mind is? You do stuff and you get up the next day and you look at it and you think, where the hell was I thinking? What was I thinking? Where was my head? So I went swimming yesterday, so I must have water in my brain. All right.
So you went swimming after you learned about these animals?
Yes.
Just asking.
Right on me, yeah. Now you understand more of what's going on, right? It was funny.
Wait,
All right,
was
so
this
what I've done,
before or after a gummy?
all right, so what I've done is I've maximally prepared for war and drugs and lightly prepared for this. All right, so I got more slides. We'll move on to that. I had a Bunyip story. Where's my Bunyip story? This is terrible. I'd have to have a talk to myself about planning.
Actually, no, there's that if the Bunyip is what I think it is,
mm-hmm.
then this animal that you're showing now sort of looks a little bit like that, except the Bunyip would be like a rat version of it.
Yeah.
We have those in the zoo in Toronto, and they like to just like hang out in the water, like up to their nose.
I'm looking at this picture, and I kind of can see and I totally get the bear vibe, but that it's got like a black mane of something on its head. Its head just looks odd to be an outright bear.
So we'll move to Bunyip, and we're going to check out the difference. And I've got a story on a Bunyip. So, close up. All right, so here we got the Bunyip. And that's a picture of a Bunyip. Doesn't they look kind of similar?
Yeah, but the ones we have are really small.
Yeah, well,
they're like the size of a medium-sized dog. They're not that big.
Mm-hmm. Where are we?
But everything was bigger back then too. So
yeah, that's right. And these are remnants of what's left over. So these are pictures of what people say now bunyips. Now you know that here in Australia it's very elusive, and I've tracked back one of the oldest stories that I could find. All right, so I'm going to stop there because the last picture is what? All right, the Bunyip. The Bunyip is a creature that has formed part of a traditional Aboriginal belief, our belief, and stories throughout Australia, and what lives in waterways such as swamps, billabongs, creeks, rivers, and waterholes, including those in Geelong. Like it's hard saying my own language. The first
easy for you to say.
Yeah, the first use for the word Bunyip is written in publication appears to be in the Geelong Advertiser and Squatters Advocate on the 2nd of July, 1845, when fossils were found near Geelong. The headline read, "Wonderful discovery of new animal." The article reported an interview with a Wathaurong man in this way on the bone being shown to an intelligent blackfella. He at once recognised it as belonging to the Bunyip, which he declared he had seen. On being requested to make a drawing of it, he did. So without hesitation, this is a drawing. I'll just show you now. So that's someone else's drawing. I think I've got a story on that. There it is. So right, this is a drawing that he did. Water crocodile. It's also reported a story of an Aboriginal woman being killed by a bunyip, and the most direct evidence of all, which was that of a man named Mumbaran, who showed several deep wounds on his breast made by the claws of the animal. The animal was described in this way. The bunyip then is represented as I need glasses. Uniting the characteristics of a bird, an alligator, and it has a head resembling an emu with a long bill. And this is a totally different description, what most people have said, and the pictures that we just looked at. At the extremities of which is a transverse projection on each side with serrated edges like the bone of the stingray. Its body and legs partake of the nature of the alligator. The hind legs usually method of killing its prey is by hugging it to death. When the water, it swims like a frog, and when in the shore, it walks on its hind legs with its head erect, in which position it's measure 12 to 13 feet high. William Buckley is also said to have written about the bunyip in 1852 biography about his 30 years of living with the Wathaurong people. He wrote, in Lake Mudawari, as well as, I'm a terrible reader today, as well as in most of the other inland, is a very extraordinary amphibious animal, which the natives call bunyip. I could never see any part except the back, which appeared to be covered with feathers of dusty grey colour. Feathers? It seemed to be about the size of a full-grown calf. I could never learn from any of the natives that they had seen either the head or the tail. According to Wikipedia, Buckley also claimed that the creature was common in the Barwon River and cities. An example, he heard of an Aboriginal woman being killed by one. He emphasises the bunyip was believed to have supernatural powers. Well, there you go. That was the description of that.
So, okay,
yes.
the bunyip, not this picture that you've got there right now,
Yeah.
but the other pictures that you have of it, it looks like a different representation of something called a capybara.
Oh, yeah, yep. We'll just go back through.
It kind of looks like a giant capybara.
Well, a capybara is a giant guinea pig with hooves.
Yeah, the other one, yeah. All right, I've got one more story on the bunyip.
And that picture that you've got up right now,
Yep.
it depends on how you look at it. If you look at it from left to right, it could be a whale. But if you look at it from right to left, it could be something else.
Yeah,
If that
see
makes
how what I
sense.
mean?
It looks like it's missing some feet or arms or hands or something.
What's the front and what's the back?
Is it a tapeworm?
Yeah. I can't read that right neither to see what it says. I couldn't find literature on that.
It's from 1869. That's all I can make out. 1869 or 1867 or 1967.
So, and another article it says that the descriptions of bunyips are very variously incorporating scales, fur, feathers, a variety of colours, including black, brown, green, sizes, shapes, humanoid, seal, like a large dog. And that's what we're seeing. All of those things, the description. The legends generally regard it's a water spirit. And it says
Almost
here
sounds
that
like a kelpie.
yeah, could be an evil water spirit. And we all know about bunyips. Like, it's all over Australia. We all know what a bunyip is. So there you go. Like, there's not a lot of information, obviously. They found a skeleton and stuff of it. So I was hoping Donnie would be here, but I messaged him. He's probably busy. But so there you go. So there's a bunyip, and
Cool.
the Irish one, the Irish water dog. So think about it. I showed you a lot of pictures. We'll just go back through all the pictures now, and I'll just show you so you can.
The one thing that stands out, and I don't know if this is any indication of how old the bunyip might be, those teeth that look like saber-toothed tiger teeth. That seems to be the one common thing that's drawn. The teeth. They're all big, like prehistoric looking teeth.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, does anyone ever wonder why all these prehistoric animals have really big front teeth?
I think that's a kind of obvious. Food. Where are we? So, because that one.
Like, okay, that's not front teeth, though. That's front feet hanging out of its mouth.
Yeah.
They're born like that with human legs hanging out.
It's like he has teeth that are a foot long, right?
Yeah. But that's kind of different. So I reckon there's different animals. And given the description of our bunyip, like it said, it could have feathers, it could have this, it could have that, it's got fur. I think they're different animals.
This is my favorite interpretation of the animal because it discourages other bunyips from eating humans because clearly that one is having a hard time.
It looks like it's choking.
It quite possibly might even be trying to regurgitate the human that it ate.
Are you possibly sure that that's human? I can't.
This one doesn't taste good, whatever it is.
The picture's cropped, but there might be 6 toes.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I did was count how many toes.
That's terrible. Meeting people is how many fingers do you have?
I knew somebody that had 6 toes, but they accidentally ran over their own foot with a lawnmower, and so now they only have 5.
That's why you have 6 toes. You got a spare one just in case.
Yep, I have 5 toes. I mowed the lawn in my lifetime.
Yeah. So, like I said, you can see the descriptions. They're just so different. I think they're different animals.
I think they're a different animal too. When you compare the picture of the bunyip that has all the teeth, and you have the other one that could be big, could be small, but it doesn't have the saber-toothed teeth.
No. Because that one there looks similar to the Irish one, because it looks like it's got fur and it's black. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think they're all different animals. Whatever one happened to come across that water hole and has been living there forever.
Be nice.
It's funny too because if you look at a lot of the animals in today, a lot of them still do that have those prominent 2 front teeth that come down from the top. Like even my cat has those.
Don't we have them? We got 2
little feet. Yeah, and even a lot of humans have that like pointy teeth right where the incisors would be still to this day. So it hasn't been bred out of us yet.
No, it hasn't. So bunyip. So yeah, my conclusion is they're different animals. Similar time perhaps, but different animals. And maybe they changed. Maybe they lived in that area for so long they adapted to that area. You don't. There's so many variables. So, all right then. So now, before we go into war, I've got some beautiful things I want to share with you.
Are they drugs?
No.
You gonna give us all some drugs before we get into this part?
Yeah, you can look at the beautiful things and then have a break. You know, I'll just remove these. Oh, wrong. I want to remove them, not put them in. Oh, watch out for the close-up. Remove from studio. Add slides. Beautiful things. Here we are. Check this out. Look, I saw that and went, wow, whoever made that? That is so beautiful. I thought it was beautiful.
Wow, that's awesome.
Isn't it beautiful?
That's I wouldn't even want to sit on that.
Hey, I would. I'd have to sit on it. It's like, I just got to sit on this. There's another one.
Could take a selfie.
Here I am, not sitting on this butterfly coffee table.
Yeah, look at that. That one, I don't know if I'd sit on it.
Here I am with this butterfly hammock.
Is that stained glass?
Oh, look at that. Yeah, they're stained glass. We'll get a bit.
Wow.
You can have a big close up. Pretty, eh? They're just so beautiful. Like,
till a hailstorm comes, I guess.
Yeah, I notice about putting things in your garden. They look good for about 6 months to a year, and then they start looking, oh, you know, how you going? So look at that bed. Imagine dreaming in that, sailing away in your dreams.
That's like something Sinbad would sleep in.
It looks like a gnome on the front of it.
That's all carved. Beautiful, eh?
Or is that a?
He's not doing got nothing to do. I look at beautiful things.
So if that's all carved,
Yeah.
it's likely that whole bed was carved out of one huge piece of wood.
Oh, possibly. In the old days, that's quite possible, Polly.
Big, huge chunk of log. Like, yeah, I want a bed out of that.
That is quite possible.
That's crazy if that's what that is. That must have taken years.
Yeah.
Yeah, would I? Oh, look, there's one for you, Polly.
Oh, I know that one. That's actually a really small mushroom. I've seen ones that small, but not blue. The ones we get here are yellow, but they're literally like, take the size of your baby fingernail.
Yeah.
The cap is maybe half the size of that.
It's tiny.
Like, it's a really small mushroom.
Yeah, tiny, eh? Here's another one.
And I wouldn't eat it.
You wouldn't eat it?
I wouldn't eat those ones either, because I've never seen them before.
Yeah, aren't they pretty? They look like glass, hey?
Mm-hmm.
They look like glass. All right, where am I?
I see where you're going with this, though, Luna.
Yeah, aren't they beautiful? But I just can't help it, you know. I just saw these things. I wanted to share them with everybody.
What is that?
That's a plant. That is a plant, people. It's like, you know, like cactus. It's got water. It's soft. What do they call them? They got water, soft.
Succulent. They're succulent.
Yeah, they're succulent. But just the shape and the way that's coloured, it's like a mandala, eh? Isn't it beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a snowflake.
Mm-hmm.
A colorful snowflake.
You know, and thinking about the snowflake, I was thinking each snowflake is completely different to the next, right? So what vibration frequency, they'd all have different frequencies. Do you know what I'm saying? To each snowflake being so different, they'd have to have a different frequency song to make a different pattern. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like the woke community.
Sometimes the frequencies all line up in just the right place.
Yeah, and look at that.
Each snowflake is individual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course they
Oh,
are.
yeah, I get a
Yeah.
snowflake. Bing, bing.
Yeah.
And what I can't speak for everybody, but
They're not all made of water.
I find frost
Hot
more
water in my head from
enjoyable than
swimming
snowflakes
yesterday.
on the windshield.
So isn't that beautiful peacock, blue and white? The
Mhm.
touch of green. Look
Actually, he's a very modest peacock.
yeah, huh? Look at that.
Unlike that fish.
Oh, and unfortunately, that's the last one I have.
Oh, that's a better fish. I can send you some fish pictures.
I'll collect more beautiful things because
Well, Roswell he's handsome. He's a purple beta.
so they're the beautiful things for the week. Because I figure the world's, the way it is, and we need more beautiful things. So there you go. All right, next we have war and drugs. But before we do that, I need to get a little drink. Where am I? I'll just put that up. Bing. And I found something really cool. Look, check this out.
Is this where we take a break?
Yeah, we can have a small break.
We're
even
gonna,
though we're in
oh, that's a great idea. You should make breaks in your shows for like advertisements and stuff. And when we come back,
insert catnip commercial.
Yeah.
You know what I did? I actually made slides for a break. And when I went back to get them all ready for the show, I can't find it. Like, that's what I said. Where was my head yesterday? Swimming in the water.
Don't forget that PSA in your ad.
So I might leave you with a pretty picture, and I'll just put some music on for just a wee bit.
I shall be back.
Tired of sitting on those old wooden benches? Introducing the butterfly butt bench.
Sit your butt in beauty.
Yeah. You'll feel like you're floating, like a butterfly.
And on that note, we'll just pop out for a second.
You're muted, Luna.
Luna, if you can hear us, you're muted.
I'm muted. No one told me I was muted.
We did. Actually, I did.
We did.
I did.
I'll read that again. War on drugs. Killing people is hard and horrible. No wonder that warriors from berserkers to jihads need drugs to get in the mood. Get in the mood to kill
Don't forget
someone.
kamikazes.
And the kamikazes. Yes, we're going to look at all of that today. And I went through. I was a good girl. Went through and got some slides for you. And I got some information. Hang on, I'll just pull up some information. Got lots of information, actually.
I'm going to do a quick little research real quick.
You can do that. We have plenty of time. It's one of them shows today. As soon as I got water in my head.
Oh, Luna totally didn't get my joke.
No, I didn't. I'm off today. Like that's what I get for exercising too much today.
Parka kind of research for the subject.
Aha. All right. So I've actually read a lot. So we're going to talk first because I read a lot of stuff last night. No wonder my head. All right. So we're going to start way back. I did research. There's a difference, okay? So I researched all the native people around the world in the very, very old days. Now, they didn't actually take drugs to go to war because back in the really old days, the wars were different to what we know today. They were, well, in our culture, we had a place for war, and it was more of correcting what was wrong rather than going to war and just killing everyone. And most of the drugs for native people were kept for spiritual reasons, not for war. And then as time went and the world got bigger, we had wars and people took drugs before they went to war. We're going to start off with the Vikings, and I wish my bro was here. I should have dropped him a line, my Viking bro. But we're going to start off with them because they're the most known. They're called berserkers for taking drugs before they go to war. And I don't know what my slide. All right, so this is henbane, and they were known to take henbane. I did. Hang on, I'll just find the literature because it makes you sick, right? Any drug like that, it'll make you a bit sick before you get out of it. Isn't that right, Polly?
I was actually just going to comment on that. Many of the more sort of intense experiences I've had have always been preluded with a kind of sickness, definitely. Mm-hmm. But once you get it out of you, then you're good to go.
Yes, it takes a little bit of time. So, all right, here it is.
I could imagine if you were gonna go to war and take some of these drugs, you'd want to do it like a good hour before you were actually gonna start getting ready.
Yeah, you'd have kind of a ceremonial.
Right, where you're allowed to be sick.
Mm-hmm. I'll watch. We're going to move on to the two drugs because they had two drugs. One was henbane. Mm-hmm. I was just finding a bit of literature. I did have literature on henbane. Unprofessional, man, unprofessional. Oh, here we are. Henbane, also called dull pain, hence the accounts of berserkers being nearly invulnerable. So it helps to dull the pain. They contribute to an inability to recognise faces, cause removal of clothing, and lowers blood pressure.
Right.
That sounds like a good time.
It means that means you take longer to bleed out.
Yeah. And you don't feel the pain, so that actually is a sensible thing to take if you're going into battle.
Ironic that it sort of does look a little bit like a poppy,
Yeah, we have
like
pictures
the
of that.
flower structure of it.
Okay, where was I? Accounts assertion the berserkers didn't lose much blood. Yeah, you were right, Polly, when injured with glades. And berserkers purportedly suffered from numerous side effects for several days. I say there were side effects that, like any drug, there's side effects, right? For a couple of days after the battle, they were still out of it. Okay, so they also took mushrooms. So that was the bit on henbane. I'd say the henbane was more the medicinal part for the stop bleeding and stuff. But
Yeah,
then,
I've actually never heard of this plant, the hembone. So I got to look into
henbane?
that one.
Oh, right, yeah,
That's
henbane.
fascinating.
Yeah.
So, well, if memory serves me correct, it was brought in popularity a couple of decades ago with Harry Potter. In one of their herbology lessons, it mentions henbane.
Uh-huh. There you go. Yeah, I know a bit about them herbs as well as the Aussie ones. It's good to know these things.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that was henbane. So they'd take henbane, and then they'd also take magic mushrooms. So these ones are Amanita muscaria. So the interesting things about these mushrooms is that we get them here in Australia as well, and traditionally the men use them as well, but like I said, not for war, it was for spiritual reasons. It wasn't used for war. I think we have a choice. If you're going to partake in something, you can use it for three things. You can use it for fun, to spiritually enlighten yourself, or go to war, obviously. So the mushroom. I've got another picture. We'll get a close-up of this. There you go. So it comes in 3 stages, this mushroom. And apparently what they did would they dry it out and make a tea out of it. And if anyone's ever had magic mushrooms, a chai, they usually have a chai, but it was flavoured. They just chucked it in water and then they drank it.
It should be pointed out here, too, that these aren't the same as magic mushrooms that most people are familiar with. There's a different chemical involved here. It's not psilocybin or psilocin. It's something else. I can't remember the name of it, but I can probably look it up somewhere. It's different. It's not the same as magic mushroom trip.
No.
These are a totally different beast, which apparently, from what I know about the history of Vikings and these mushrooms, is Vikings used to follow herds of reindeer because reindeer would eat these mushrooms. But if you just ate these mushrooms, they probably just make you a little bit sick and you wouldn't really get the effects that are desired. But when it goes through a mammal's metabolism, like a human or a reindeer, and then when they urinate, the compound has been manipulated in a way going through that metabolism that now it's available to the person who wants to take it for that effect. So it has to go through that. Even shamans would take these mushrooms and then they would save the urine, and then the urine would be presented as the drink that got everybody stoned at the ceremony. I think it's called soma. That's the if you've ever read, I think it's one of those crazy novels, predictive programming novel, like 1984 or Brave New World. It's one of those books where they have this thing called soma, and the inspiration from soma was exactly from this mushroom. The shaman would eat tons of these mushrooms, and then for the next couple days, save his urine to present to his tribe so they could all have this trip.
So I don't know whether to laugh or to okay.
Right?
I get what you're saying. The chemical reaction once it's passed through the body, the end result, because a lot of when the natives were using them for spiritual reasons, there's a preparation. Like, you've got to do this preparation, and it has to go through these certain things to work properly. Or
Yeah,
apparently,
these mushrooms specifically are a very involved preparation. You can't just like pick them and eat them. I mean, you can, but they're not going to do the same thing.
no, they're not. You got to be very careful. We advise you don't touch any mushroom you find unless you are highly educated in picking mushrooms. Okay.
Yeah, and if you're going to go to war, don't eat a mushroom that's going to make you sick.
Yeah, well, they did get sick from the little bit of research I did. That once they prepared the mixture, they'd all have a drink. Now, you remember they've already had henbane, which has made them sick and dilates their pupils and stuff. They're already half G'd up for war. Then they take this, and it makes them vomit. And once they're vomited, like you said, Polly, before, once they're vomited, they settle down a bit, and they're ready for war. It causes a range of psychoactive effects: dizziness, hallucination, delirium. Can lead to hypothermia, sweating. So they obviously knew the right amount to take, right? Because they've been doing it for a long time. Vomiting. Yeah. So the initial first offset effects are not nice, but after that, the anger effect comes into like full-blown rage, combativeness. They're ready for war. They just want to go. And it depends on your mindset too, Polly. Like,
well, that's what these mushrooms do. They change your mindset into not being afraid of consequences of making stupid decisions, basically.
All right. So we're looking at war and drugs, and this is what the Vikings had before they went to war. And I've listed it from natural to synthetic. Because as the world moved on and we got synthetic drugs, they started to use synthetic drugs in war. And so I haven't, apparently, marijuana. A lot of warriors used marijuana. I'll just find that article, and I was surprised because in India they used it before they went to war. But anyone that's had it knows that it makes you happy, and you sit back and you don't really feel like going to war, do you? I didn't understand it.
Well, that's interesting. One of the common byproducts that's thousands of years old from that plant is called hashish.
Yep.
And the word assassin comes from the
Yes.
origins of the word hashish, because
It does.
so there you go. Like there's a war element right there, even with one of the most medicinal plants on the planet.
Yep. I'm actually looking for that.
It's almost like they were using the drug to, like, because if you think about when you go to war, like, you're gonna get to a point, if you're a soldier, where you're gonna have to kill someone. You're gonna have to take somebody's life. So how do you deal with that ethically, morally, when all your religions say don't kill a fellow man? You're gonna need something to help soften that blow, right? So just get high as hell and go kill somebody, okay?
What happens if you get up there and you're just about to kill him and you look in their eye and you start laughing?
Well, yeah, like, I mean, is that why they started using drugs in warfare? Or, like, is it a different reason? Like, you can't convince a human without drugs to go kill another human, so you need drugs to do it, maybe.
Well, that's what the whole point of the show is that what we're going to see when we get into the more modern day war is that this practice is still happening. They're still doing this, like,
and they're better at it now.
And what surprises me is that they train the soldiers. They don't, they've got to be clean, so they're strong, and they drill them, and they're physically.
And then they just give them a bottle of pills and say, "Go to war." Yeah.
They drug them up, and over history they've drugged them up with all these different things. So I'm going to share this article because I thought it was kind of interesting. Here we are. Did that pop up? It did. One moment. All right. So how cannabis was weaponized. And I'll just make that bigger. I'm trying to make the screen look decent for you. Trying to make it look more decent.
The only thing I've ever thought about when I've been under the influence of cannabis is whose bag of chips this is.
All right. So it says here how cannabis was weaponized. Cannabis was discovered thousands of years ago, evolved with the help of humans, fulfilling various purposes. To some, it was a sacred religious herb, used to heal the soul, mind, and body, while others consider it a recreational substance that enhances relaxation and socialization. The Indians believed that marijuana was discovered by their god Shiva, who then brought it to them. They used it to prepare a drink known as bang and equivalent of alcohol, bang. Was used, sorry for laughing, during social religious activities. I'm probably saying it wrong, believed it was a sacred plant. During the war, Indians prepared something called ganja. Now I know that word, ganja, which was stronger, and gave it to warriors. The warriors would sip tiny bits of the bang and ganja to alleviate panic, hence the nickname Vijaya, meaning victorious. So they gave them to be brave. And there's a picture of them.
Well, okay, there we go. They gave it to them because it gave them some sort of like artificial braveness or something along those lines. That is exactly what the drugs that they're using even today. They're not designed to get you high, because a high soldier might shoot your own soldiers. That's not good. But what is good about these drugs is your fear of death goes out the window. And consequences, you don't think about consequences.
No,
So
I mean, sorry to cut in on your conversation. I just have to speak while I'm thinking of it, because you know how things leave, especially on the PPP Express.
On the crazy train, yeah.
Yes. So, but getting back to like the differences now, and I don't know if because there's synthetic ingredients in it, but you're right. Nobody wants to get up and I'm gonna go to war. Let's do it. No, I mean now most people, maybe I don't want to speak for everybody, but my thoughts that a lot of people now aren't warlike, and it's a calm, peaceful, vibey feeling of I'm with you, we're connected somehow, some way, your mind expanses and you get all these thoughts, and it's more of you don't want to kill because you're peaceful, you're part of something else.
Well, you're not wrong, because the recruitment numbers for most militaries around the world are declining and are actually in crisis mode. So maybe they need to make better drugs to make people join the army. Maybe if they made some fun drugs, people would join the army.
Well, they don't tell them that when they join the army that they're going to fill them full of drugs.
Maybe they should. Today's world, people would probably just go to there. Like, what? I'm going to get free drugs?
Yeah.
Like, all those drug addicts and homeless people that are like plaguing the US right now, just offer them drugs to go fight in the military. They'll do it. Just got to come up with the right drug. Is that bad of me to say that? I'm sorry if it is.
But it's true. Like...
It's so true, though. I'm sorry. Like, I would consider joining the army if they had some like killer drugs. Like, you never done drugs like this, man. You thought Molly was good, MDMA, DMT. Nah, the military's got drugs that are way better than that. All you got to do is put a gun in your hand. I'd consider it. I would. I'd consider it.
Oh, I forgot to show you this thing. I'll share it. I'm terrible at it today. Christ. Oh, what have I done?
I mean, you think about if you're going to convince 1,000 people to march to their death for a cause that they may or may not believe in, they're just doing it for the money. You're going to need some good drugs to convince them.
Yeah, right. I forgot to show you that there's the scientific molecular structure of those mushrooms, and there's a whole article. Like there's a whole article on it scientifically, and I ain't going to read it because they're too many big words.
And the Amanita's got correlations to the origins of Santa Claus and Christmas and the reindeer and the red nose and flying and all that stuff. But that's for a different show too.
All right, so the next one, that's cocaine. Are you looking at there? They did give them cocaine at one stage. I'm trying to find the article on that.
Well,
that seems like it would get stuck up your nose.
Actual in original Coca-Cola. The Coke formula had actual cocaine in it because it was a medicine.
That's
right.
It
still is a medicine.
It still is a medicine. It's just
if you use it properly.
Yeah.
I'm not condoning the use of cocaine, by the way, just for everybody listening out there. I don't condone it. I don't condemn it. And I don't pay for it either.
You're a scientist.
But if you have it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh. I'm
it's
thinking
therapeutic only.
Maybe I could find something if I had some. All right.
You definitely don't want to put it up your nose in its raw format, as you can clearly see. That could maybe cause some windpipe issues.
Yeah, we'll look good for you. All right, what have I found here?
Apparently, they used to just chew on that, like the leaves. They just chew on it.
Well, it was actually where in its native country, where it grows, which is at a high altitude, they chew on it to keep their body at a good place because of the high altitude. It helps them to better in the high altitude, helps their mind to function better.
It helps their blood absorb oxygen.
That's right.
Something like that, yeah.
That's what it's actually used for, which is a very common sense, healthy use if you live in a high altitude. But then someone obviously went to visit one day, had some went, this is great, took it back to Western civilization and made this stuff.
Yeah, okay? Now we have the cartels.
Yes.
Colombian marching powder.
But at one stage in the wars, they did give them cocaine. I'm having trouble finding the articles. They did give them cocaine, and
I could see how cocaine at the right dose would be a good thing to put inside your soldiers.
Yes. All right, and here we have heroin. These are all synthetic derivatives of plants. What you just saw there. So that one there and this one is all chemically derived in a laboratory to get to that point. So it's not the natural version.
But all of the drugs that they give to the militaries, whether they're natural or synthetic, they all have roots in plants. All of them, every single one.
They do. That's where they got them from. Yep. So they started using these things like for pain and stuff like that. So you got in war and battle. We know what that is. That's the poppy, the opium poppy.
Now, I have a question about the opium, because you wouldn't want to give your army opium before going into battle. It's a very sedative. It's a very good feeling drug, but for your injured, for your casualties, that's where you'd want to have opium for sure.
That's right.
Because then they could walk home. Like, you wouldn't have to carry them. You just give them some opium. They could walk home with a broken leg.
Yeah, they can. They'd be out of it. You could carry them home and they wouldn't feel the pain.
Right.
So, what have I got here? I've pulled something up. Alleviating pain and anesthetizing the body. I actually got my tongue around that. It's anaesthetizing in the body, and that's what we're talking about. It would do those things. Alcohol kind of would do that too. Where's that juicy? I found a really juicy thing on this. Anyway, so coming from that, the opiates, and then morphine, right? They made the synthetic form of the opium, which is morphine, which it could be carried easily on the battlefield, applied quickly to the patient.
I'd say over half the people they actually gave that to on the battlefield were going to die anyways.
Probably, and if they didn't, they often went home with an addiction.
Right.
They give it to them while they went home and healed. Yeah, and how many of them ended up in addiction? And isn't it funny, Polly, like they get them into the army, they get them drugged up for war. A lot of them get addictions, whether they've had an accident or they're just taking this stuff to go to war and they're used to it. They leave the army, they get an addiction, and then they don't want nothing to do with them. They treat them really bad after that.
It does seem like that.
It seems that way. I mean, I know it'd be hard to manage lots of people like that, but
or it's like they're recycling their usability for like rehab programs.
Yeah, I'm looking at the same paper here. All right, so in World War 1918 was one.
Pretty sure one of the things they teach you before you become a soldier is that you're expendable.
Yeah.
Like you're part of an army.
Yeah. If you're going to join the army, know that you are expendable. So they gave them enhanced cocaine in the trenches in World War One.
It keeps you awake. You don't want your night watch guy falling asleep, so you give him an 8-ball. He'll be awake for 3 days. Yeah, no worries.
I'm going to show you the list.
You might be a little bit paranoid, but that's okay for a watchtower guy, right?
But poor buggers, imagine what was going through their mind. Like, these are clean-cut young people you're from in the army. They're facing war. They don't even know probably about the drug and the effects of it, and here they are off their heads. Some of them would be going, well, what the hell's going on with me? Like, it would have been a nightmare.
And what's funny is if you do drugs before you get into the army, they don't let you in.
Hey, that's the other thing. Yeah, that's it.
You can only do them after you get in. Yeah.
Isn't this backward world we live in, crikey?
Oh, sorry, you can't join the army. You do drugs. All right. And the people that have never done drugs in their life get in the army, and the second day on the front line, they're given drugs. That's not good. They're not prepared for those kind of drugs. You need experience with these drugs.
But then we come back to the original statement, and why we're doing the show is that, you know, the most ordinary people, you got to drug them up to send them to war. They're not going to go kill people just for the fun of it.
Yep.
And here we are. And I'm sure, ask yourself this question. If you had to go to war tomorrow, would you rather take something before you go to kill people, or would you just go straight into it straight? Like, you got to ask yourself that question. And you don't know until it really happens to you.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't know until it happens, but I can speculate that I would probably want at least some kind of a microdose of psychedelics to heighten my awareness.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'd probably be comfortable with. Something like, you know, meth or speed, or, you know, incredibly high doses of caffeine.
Yeah, we're getting to that.
Would not be a good thing. You would just have an itchy trigger finger and shoot somebody by accident.
Yeah, well, that does happen. They end up shooting their own people.
Exactly.
We're getting to that part because there's so much. Like, when I realised, I went, wow, when you really look at it, the vast amount of drugs that they used in war, it blew my mind. That's why I'm here sharing it with you.
They've used war as an excuse to research certain drugs, just to design them for things like anxiety and what we used to call shell shock.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's called anxiety. But how many drugs can you list right now that are to deal with anxiety?
Yeah.
Or antidepressants or PTSD drugs? It's crazy. It's like almost like war is a kind of a food source for the pharmacology.
Pharmaceutical people.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try this out. Let's go to war and try out this medicine.
Right.
I mean,
Yes,
or there's money to be made.
Exactly.
and money to be made. Yeah.
And trauma to be had.
It says here in the early 19th century, European militaries began to consider what traditionally had been practiced by the Andean people, the use of cocaine leaves for improving physical endurance. Later, 3 years after cocaine was isolated in 1859, the German pharmaceutical company, Merck of Darmstadt, I hope I said that right, launched its manufacture of marketing. The new product was advertised as a stimulant, which is particularly adaptable to elevate the working ability of the body without any dangerous effect. A Bavarian army physician made his name in 1883 as the first to carry out experiments with cocaine on soldiers conducting maneuvers. He recognized the potential utility of the drug and its appetite suppressing effect, and supposed that it could help reduce army food supplies by up to 20%. It was, however, cocaine's stimulating property that proved beneficial for World War One. So there you go. See, World War One.
And if you know anything about military history and the greats, that like even Alexander the Great, people like Napoleon, those kind of guys, the importance of feeding your army is paramount. Like, if you can't fight a war on an empty stomach, but if you can suppress the appetite with a drug like this, you've solved so many logistical problems of keeping your army fed on foreign land. Where are you going to get the food for, let's say, 100,000? That's a small army in today's standards, okay? 100,000 troops in a foreign land, okay? You've just taken over, whatever. Where are you going to get the food to feed that army? Who's going to feed them? You don't, like, you're just going to take the food from that land, okay? Fine.
But that's not going to last forever.
Once that runs out, then what?
Yeah.
So they gave them appetite-suppressing drugs, so they can march farther, cover more distance, secure more land. Yeah, it's a logistical ace up your sleeve. If you can suppress your army's appetite, then you don't have to feed them. So maybe that's how drugs implemented their way into warfare.
Perhaps.
So I found. Okay, so we're moving now. We had the medicinal drugs like for pain and all that. We realised they started using cocaine. Oh, we're a little ahead of ourselves. Yeah, we're here. The Vietnam War.
Well, we've got to point out there's a difference between a stimulant and an opiate.
Yeah.
Like, they're pretty much opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, an opiate is to kill pain, right? So you've already got an injury, you take an opiate. A stimulant is to go give someone else an injury.
Exactly, it is.
Yeah.
So here we come into LSD and amphetamines. All right, now they come in after World War One, I think. Oh, I missed World War Two, but they used the same thing. And then we had Vietnam. And I have a report here, the Vietnam drug users return. And I'll just show you that report so you know I'm legit. And I'm not bullshitting. Here we go. Because I'm not into bullshitting. All right. Report. Here we are. And then we'll see a list of psychoactive drugs used by the militaries. There's actually a big list that they have. All right, so here's the document. And it's a bit hard to read because it's an old document, as you can see. The report based upon case records and follow-up interviews with 965 servicemen returning from Vietnam investigates the availability and utilization of narcotics, marijuana and alcohol in Vietnam. the psychosocial and demographic predictors of pre- and post-Vietnam narcotic use and the post-Vietnam adjustment difficulties of drug users. The interviews explore the returnees, past and present, for using drugs, complicating of drug use, family problems, job in history, and disciplinary action in service. In addition, the interviews cover the personal history of the servicemen over five time periods, it says, but I think they spelled it wrong because that was in the days of typing with your fingers. And you couldn't erase it once it was there, you had to wipe it out. After Vietnam and since discharge, the report includes the returnee's suggestion as to how the array should cope with, how the Army should cope with widespread drug use among servicemen, as well as the types of services that should be offered to veterans. So this is an ongoing thing. This is what we we're talking about before, about once they come out of the Army, what they're going to do. And there you have it. They had to do a whole thing on it because it's a real subject. What we're talking about is real. So you can check that out if you really want to read it all. So yeah, and what else do we have? I have another one. I'll just swap it over. Did that swap over? No. Now it's swapped over. Okay, so this is the list of psychoactive drugs used by the military. Oh man, I can't even say some of these. Amphetamine, phenethyline, whatever that is.
Phencycline?
Yeah, something like that. They've got big words on these things. Modafinil.
And I can barely see them. So, I mean, if you can see that, you're doing good.
And sleeping pills. And then it lists medicine.
Yeah, interesting. It says also CMK Ultra.
Yes, doesn't it? And
Isn't that interesting?
Yes, I thought so. Use of drugs in warfare. So there you have it, folks. Look.
Oh, look, there's Super Soldier.
Oh, that was the other
MK
thing.
Ultra and Super Soldier.
Yes.
In the
right.
same, yeah. See, also.
Yes, see, there,
yeah,
look,
we already saw that.
People. Yeah. Okay, so looking at listing.
I don't know if you've been paying attention to the war in the Ukraine, but there's some interesting articles being written on some of the fringe media about the Ukraine military giving their soldiers drugs, basically, that would make them consider less about their own life. Like it was kind of like, if I'm gonna die doing this, okay. It just kind of just got rid of their concern for pretty much any decision they were making.
Isn't that what they did in the Japanese? They gave the kamikaze pilots amphetamines, so they just didn't care.
I would imagine it would be, yeah, I was told it was sake, but you would imagine it would have to be more than sake to fly a plane into a boat. Like
they gave them amphetamines.
It would have to be like some serious good drugs for me to fly my plane into a boat.
Depends how you do that, remember? You're mind controlled. You've been mind controlled.
That's like the same as a jihad warrior that explodes himself in the middle of a. What kind of drugs you got to be on to do that? To walk into a square full of innocent people and blow yourself up with like nails and stuff strapped to you, so you can take out as many people as possible in the name of somebody's god. You'd have to be on some good drugs to do that.
Ask the military. Ask the military, Polly. All right, so there you have it. this is what they use. They fair dinkumly used all these things in war. I did read another article. They reckon that the Americans didn't drink as much, like they weren't big drinkers in this World War II, I think it was. You actually behaved yourselves. But there's the amphetamines they gave to the kamikaze pilots, and also in Vietnam they let them, because they're in Vietnam, they wanted them to have a good time while they were there.
Like, I don't know how many of y'all have done like any sort of psychedelics, but imagine, okay, the Vietnam War is like in a jungle, right? There's you don't just have to worry about the army that you're fighting in the jungle. You also have to worry about the actual jungle. The jungle will kill you. And if I can't imagine, because I've had acid, and if I was in the jungle with a bunch of other dudes on acid that are all on the same acid in the same jungle with guns and grenades, no, not a good place. I would leave. I would, like, I wouldn't want to fight anybody in that state. Like, that would be the most terrifying place to be. You'd probably be able to hear the ants walking.
Oh, yeah. Oh my.
Like, there's no way you would. That's the wrong drug to take in that situation, in my opinion. I would rather have something like some kind of a speed, something that would keep me awake, hyper aware, but not paranoid and hallucinate and make me shoot my fellow soldiers, thinking that they were DMV or whatever, like.
That would be the amphetamines that you see here.
Right.
It gives them the same rush without the hallucinogenic properties.
Yeah, it's kind of like a caffeine pill, but a little bit
super.
It's almost like it's almost the best way I can describe it is you feel like you're drunk, but you don't have all the motor skill inhibited. Like, you know how when you lose your balance if you had too much to drink?
Not wobbly. Yeah,
you still feel like you've had too much to drink, but you're not wobbly.
Yeah,
and you're totally like coherent and balanced, and you feel taller than you are. That's for sure.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Which makes it a perfect thing to feed your army, right? And it also is an appetite suppressant.
Oh, there you go. So that was what we were talking about before, where the cocaine did that. But cocaine doesn't last that long.
With diet aids, do you remember taking it back in the time machine, back in the 80s, there was the diet pills that was so popular.
Yeah, people used to snort those. It's no joke.
They must have big nostrils. They must have big nostrils. No.
Like, what the? Like, if you're gonna go through the trouble, at least put something good up there. I don't know. But yeah, they would stop you from eating. You could drink more at the clubs. Just take some diet pills. You don't get hungry. Yeah, I remember that. That was in the 90s still. That was still in the 90s when that was still happening.
So there's proof there, people, that throughout the history of war, they have been G'ing up their soldiers and their warriors before they go to war to get a more efficient killing spree. So,
and also an interesting point would be to make that there's actual wars named after these drugs.
There are?
There's what's called the Opium Wars. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Wow.
The drug or the war, which is what came first?
Yeah, right.
I mean, like wars, okay, in one way, if you want to put a silver lining on war, which is hard to do, but they do generally develop some kind of technology out of necessity that we can use in society when we're not at war. And same with drugs, I guess.
Yeah, we live in an insane world. I'll tell you how insane it is. I found a few scientific facts. One of them is apparently there's hang on, I'll just put the fire up. So I hope you enjoyed the war and drugs, not on drugs. And that's the insane too thing, Polly. The war on drugs, they're giving their soldiers drugs. Maybe that's it. They don't want us to have the drugs. They want them for the soldiers only. Is that right?
It's true.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's so. Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, because when I started looking around for this subject, I did a lot of head scratching. Like, it's insanity at a max, right? It is. It's insanity at a max.
Like, you can literally get turned away from the army if you have a record of drug problems.
You do.
Yet they'll give you the same drugs to go
Yes.
into battle and kill innocent women and children.
Yes. And more.
That's
And
bizarre. Yeah, what?
it does not make sense, does it? It's just insane.
Wouldn't you rather get somebody who's like used to those drugs to do it? Wouldn't they be more reliable?
Now we're talking. Now that makes more sense.
Hey, and then if they die, it's no loss to society because they're just gonna rob everybody to feed their habit anyways.
And it'll cost them less because they can pay them in drugs.
Hey, maybe we just found a good use for all the drug addicts out there. I'm kidding.
Well, I'll tell you how insane this world is. We have scientific facts. These are scientific facts. There's a thing called exploding head syndrome. Yes, exploding head syndrome. Some people have.
I just thought of the movie Scanners.
Some people have a scary condition called exploding head syndrome. Just as they are dropping off to sleep, they hear loud noises or feelings of an explosion. Some people report that it sounds like fireworks, thunder, or shouting, and even gunshots. I wonder if because they come back from the war.
I'd like to find out where these people live too.
I have exploding head syndrome. I'm not coming to work today.
I'm calling it exploding head today.
And there's another one. Did you know that 90% of the cells in the human body aren't human? We are mostly made up of bacteria, fungus, and a whole host of things that we haven't identified yet. Maybe that's why you feel a bit like an alien.
Could that? I wonder if any of that's junk DNA.
And we have foods that eat you back. Here we're just wondering about things like bunyips and stuff like that in the water and all the creatures we have out there, and we're eating foods that eat us back. So whatever you like on your pizza, pineapple is undeniably tasty. However, when you eat pineapple, it also eats you back. It is the only food that contains bromelain, an enzyme that digests protein.
Exactly, and
and that's why it makes a good marinade.
Yeah, the pineapple is actually a berry.
Yes, it is. And I learned the other day how you're supposed to open a pineapple. Right, everyone cuts it open. You're actually supposed to twist the top off, bash the rest of it a little bit, and roll it, and that loosens all the little hexagonal pieces. And then you can pull all the pieces out separately and just eat them, and they come out in a big long wedge. You've been eating them wrong the whole time.
I wouldn't do that because I'd plant the top of it.
Oh, yeah, if you want to do that, you have to cut it. And actually, I did that, Polly, and I have one growing in my yard.
It works.
And it's growing really well, but they take about 2 years, I think, to get...
Yeah, I had one for 2 years. It got so huge, and I still didn't get a flower.
And then it got really big and ate you. Is that what happened?
Well, I'm thinking the pineapple I got was from the grocery store, and I'm in Canada. This pineapple probably came from Costa Rica or Brazil or somewhere down there.
Or the Philippines.
Yeah, somewhere like that. And so it's not used to Canadian climate.
A good Hawaiian pineapple.
It definitely was not Hawaiian. I don't think we get anything from Hawaii here.
Well, and I think it's the soil because
except maybe some weed.
Well, I mean,
Except some drugs.
in Hawaii, I mean, you have that volcanic soil that's good for growing coffee. Just the Kona blend is only grown in that one particular region in Hawaii because of that volcanic soil. And just coincidentally, pineapples are very abundantly near that soil.
Makes
So,
me want to throw a pineapple on that fire.
I mean, I guess I'm just saying that that's what makes a Hawaiian pineapple a Hawaiian pineapple.
Yeah, right.
Love it in the soil.
All right. This is a weird one. Oh, this is. I've got to show you this. A deadly snail. I'll show you that in a minute. So another one is addicted bees. Bees enjoy caffeine and nicotine and prefer nectar with small amounts of it in. There are theories that plants get them addicted in order to increase pollination. There you go, Polly. That's one for you.
I like the sound of these seeds.
All right, invisibility. Listen to this. This is insane. Scientists
Anything
have
that
been able.
increases pollination.
Scientists have been able to trick people into thinking that they are invisible. They use virtual reality show to show people in space where their
I
body
don't need to
should.
be tricked.
I know.
I walk around like that all the time. I don't need to be tricked.
They use paintbrushes on the arms of these people while showing them the same paintbrushes in the empty air on the simulation, which managed to convince people they took it a cruel step further and stabbed at the empty air with kitchen knives, spiking the blood pressure of participants who thought it wasn't a threat to their invisible bodies.
Okay. Wow. Okay, this is funny, but you know what? It kind of ties in with the whole drugs and war, because eventually they're gonna be able to, like, okay, everybody has a military uniform, and part of the uniform are these goggles that you wear, and they have augmented reality in them.
Oh yeah.
And so you're not gonna realize that there's like actually 5 people with freaking bazookas pointed at you. You're just gonna run in there with your machine gun like G.I. Joe and take one for the team, because your goggles aren't gonna let you know that you're about to like
Yeah,
you don't even need drugs at that point.
Yeah, there you go for the army, a drug-free army. Oh.
Do you ever wonder why they call it an army too? Like,
All
why is
right,
the word arm in army? I don't get that.
army, yeah, your arm, my arm. They take an arm off you. Wait, what the hell? All right. In the list of most, this is a deadly snail. In the list of most deadly animals in the world, there are some common suspects like mosquitoes, snakes, humans, of course, crocodiles. But freshwater snails kill up to 20,000 people a year. People drink water with snail eggs, which causes an unpleasant condition called schistosomosis. Unpleasant stuff. Ooh.
So that's like if you swallow a watermelon seed, you're gonna grow a watermelon inside your stomach.
Yeah,
If you swallow
inside the
snail
big-
eggs,
yeah.
gross.
Yeah. And we're going to
Snails.
last one. Reality doesn't exist. It's a scientific fact. So we're not here. We can do whatever.
If that were true, then so many people would have died from drinking snail eggs.
Oh, snail eggs. Oh, they get sick. But wouldn't their stomach acid kill them?
Of course it would.
You might get some germs, but
We wouldn't have evolved if that's the simplest thing that can kill us. Then like, think about our ancestors. ancestors, they'd all be dead. None of us would be here, except for snails.
And they reckon the theory of relativity might suggest that time does not exist as we think it is. The past, present, and future do not exist. Humans share similar time frames, but only because we move at similar speeds. And I always said time was just motion. There you go. That's a scientific fact, they reckon.
Relatively speaking.
Relatively speaking. Oh, so we're only an hour and a half, and that's all I got for you. That's all I got, folks.
It's already been an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's been an hour and a half. Gee,
Relatively speaking.
I didn't read enough. Yeah, I didn't read enough. That's what happened.
Hey, we didn't even get to talk about. We didn't even get to talk about World War II, and am I allowed to say Hitler on YouTube? Oh well, I just did.
Yeah, I couldn't find the paper. I'll tell you.
He had his own cocktail.
He did.
They did experiments with drugs
I
on
saw
him.
the image floating. Where was it? Oh, those church guys, the Midnight Ride. They did a special. One of their things was on. Oh, I can't. It was tied into. It was interesting. Needless to say, Hitler, WW2, and Trump all in one religious conversation. It was fantastic.
I found it. Remember, I was looking for paper. Like I was looking for me document.
And they actually had a clip of Hitler tweaking.
Well, okay, I'm looking back at all the clips of Hitler I've ever seen as a kid growing up in Canada and in the education system. You know, we had to learn about World War I and World War II in history class, and they would show these movies of him standing there, and he's just freaking out in front of like hundreds of thousands of people. Just he's absolutely going ballistic, like throwing a temper tantrum is what it looked like to me. And I always remember, even at a very young age, thinking something's wrong with that guy. Like I don't see normal people like acting like that ever. So, and now when you learn about like, oh, he was, juiced up on all kinds of freaking meth and like all kinds of other barbiturates and stuff to keep him awake and walking straight and to counteract the other, like they were pumping him full of drugs to counteract the drugs they were giving him. Like, so he was constantly like just high as a freaking kite.
It says here. Hang on, I'm back. I'm here. I'll read it. Adolf Hitler was a junkie, and the Nazi narcotics intake gives new meaning to the term war on drugs, but they weren't the only ones. Recent publication has revealed that narcotics are much part of conflict of bullets. So, yeah, all right. Hey, that looks like Mulder, doesn't it?
It sure does. He was right. He was right. The truth is out there.
We're not.
Is that his selfie from prison?
So it says they used cocaine, heroin, and notably crystal meth. And I asked the question yesterday, the difference between amphetamines and methamphetamines. What was the difference? So crystal
I think one's
meth.
better than the other.
Oh, okay. So obviously they took the good one.
You'll have to try them both. I don't know.
Oh, look, they were used for everyone from soldiers to housewives to factory workers. Hey, if you think life's boring, you were born in the wrong era. You could have been born in the times where this was happening.
You could just take meth at work. It was no big deal.
Actually, Polly, I've got to say, I'm going to tell you something. When I was a little girl, there used to be these stuff called Becks and Vincences, and they were headache medicines, supposedly. And my mum and my auntie would sit down in the morning after the kids went to school, and they'd each take one. Now, my auntie would put it straight in her mouth and then drink the water, and my mum would put it in the water and then drink it. And my auntie took Beck's and my mum took Vincent's. Don't ask me why they took a different one. I don't know. And they didn't share. So I never seen them swap. It wasn't until I grew up and become a older grown up and could do research in that and found out that in them days, Beck's and Vincent's were actually amphetamines, and they took it after the kids went to school to start their day.
Mm-hmm.
Born in wrong era.
Mama's little helper.
Yeah. And it says here Hitler was a Führer, we know that. In his drug taking too, it makes sense. It gives an extreme personal. Oh, what am I reading? Hang on. So his mental and physical health. Man, if they hadn't have killed him, he would have died from drug overdose or something anyway. A wonder drug, Eucodol. I had daily injections of a wonder drug called Eucodol. Which puts the user in a state of euphoria and often renders them incapable of making sound judgment. Is that why they lost the war? And cocaine. So he was on that. Man, is this Joe Biden?
So if he was incapable of making sound judgment, was he pulling the strings, or was there a global elite trying to force about change?
It sounds like he started off with good intentions, and then they thought, how are we going to stop him? I know, we'll get him really out of it and he'll make mistakes.
Kind of sounds very similar to things that are happening. Yes, they say history repeats itself.
I want to see what's going to happen if we give Joe Biden the same drugs that they gave Hitler. Just for one speech. Just for one speech.
They probably already have.
He probably stroke out.
They already have, man. I can see history repeating itself all over again, can't you? It says here they gave him that.
How come nobody dresses up like Hitler for Halloween as a politician? I don't get it.
Well, yeah, actually he did dress up every time, didn't he? You never saw him sloppy or anything. Even in his home videos. He started taking it regularly from 1941 onwards to combat ailments including stomach spasms, high blood pressure, and a ruptured eardrum. It sounds like the drugs gave him them ailments.
Stop yelling.
He
ruptured his own eardrums from yelling so much. The guy was always yelling.
It says he did a lot of questionable things, so you can blame the drugs for everything you can, but you can't,
Maybe there's another reason why they did that.
So there you go.
They implement the use of drugs into the army, and then anybody can just say, well, I didn't, I killed 34 people single-handedly with 3 guns running through minefields, but it wasn't me. It was the drugs.
I was on drugs, man.
It was the drugs.
Is that why they go, I can't recall? Because they were out of it at the time. Yeah. And when they're straight, they interview them about
it. I don't recall. I don't recall. Yeah.
So now you know. Now you know what's going on behind the scenes, people. There is a war on drugs, and Mould is in on it too.
I have a special request.
Yes.
I don't know if you can find it, but it's totally appropriate for your stream.
Yeah.
The guy pulled over.
Oh, him. Yeah. I don't know. Last time I looked for that, they took it off. I don't even know if I can find it. hang on, I'll put my fire back up and we'll
What are you on, like TikTok, YouTube?
I'm on everything, man. Everything. Instagram,
Are
TikTok.
you on
Yeah.
drugs? You got some?
what I'm going to have to do is go back to the show where I put that up, tape that section of the show, and keep it so I can throw it up. Yeah. I've got to learn how to do that first. I'll learn how to do it first. So. Yeah, so there you go. Now you know the corrupt history of war and what's really going on. So all that money that they get for confiscating drugs off the normal living people, they save for the war, so they can give their soldiers. And we can win the war.
It should give people a hint that, you know, that the pharmaceutical industrial complex is related, one of the arms, and the military industrial complex is another arm of the same beast.
They are. They are arms of the same beast.
And they feed each other. They use one for the other's research.
They do. I'm going to just find and see. I'm looking in my funny stuff, if you just give me a moment. And I don't think I have that clip. That was a good clip, though. I laughed so much.
His memory lives on.
His memory lives on there. No, I can't find it now.
Well, people just have to go back on your channel and watch that video.
Yeah, go through
on the show.
Go back through all my shows. You'll find that one. You'll know because we're just laughing all the way through the show. But it's the funniest video ever. I like that. It's the funniest video ever. I will find it and I'll replay it. I just got to do.
I might have put it in my Discord.
Oh, maybe. I actually pressed the link to go and get it again, but it wouldn't. It said it's been removed. So why would you want to remove something that funny? You know, there's a conspiracy, Jules and Polly and you out there. There's a conspiracy against people that laugh. If you're in Australia, if you go to a pub and laugh too much and don't even drink, you can get kicked out. If you go to a shopping centre and laugh too much, everyone's going to stare at you. You can go anywhere and laugh too much and people will start to become uncomfortable. What's wrong with this world? There's a conspiracy against laughter, I'm sure.
No, I just
probably
think that
it's too positive.
It's too positive.
You're being pumped with fear, and it is positive.
Yeah, and I'm just going to laugh at them anyway. I'm just going to laugh anyway.
Like people look at you like, "What the hell are you so happy about?" That's what I think it is. They're like, "We can't have that."
My best giggles come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like the convention story. I heard covers go over, and it's like, sounds like waves on an ocean crashing on the shore. And then I was laughing at myself because I was laughing at just a strange noise.
And it wasn't what you thought it was. Oh, fun. Here, I found it. The funny file. Oh, here's something interesting for you. Wait a minute. Yeah, check this out. Did that come up?
Hey guys! We're going to be showing you the shrinking mill today in Port Colborne, and this is a mystery in Canada, Ontario that no one really knows how it works, so let's go. So just keep your eye on that big building back there and watch the size of it as we get closer and closer. Now normally when you drive closer to something, wouldn't you think it gets bigger? But in this case, it shrinks, hence the word the shrinking mill. But watch as you get super duper close.
It's real, like, we got nothing like that here.
Like, it doesn't even make sense. Look how small it is.
How is that possible?
And we were all the way back down that hill, and no one even knows how that works. It's tiny.
How is that possible? Hang on, I'll find something else.
I know where that is, though.
You do?
I've been to Port Colborne, yeah. I've played shows
Have you
there.
seen that? Have you
That's
seen that?
something weird that I've never seen before. No, I've
It
never
is
seen
weird.
anything like that.
So if you live in that area, anybody, please go check it out and tell us how weird it
Oh,
feels.
but wait. I
Wait, what?
think I know how that happens. So clearly it's a sunny day.
Yep.
And you've seen mirages on the road, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think what's happening there is because they're actually driving uphill a little bit.
Oh,
And
yeah, I get that.
there's
I don't
something
know.
weird happening with that mirage effect.
I
And when
watched
they
it.
get to the crest of the hill, then the building reveals its true distance. So the building they're filming on the road before they get to the top of that hill isn't actually the building. It's part of the mirage that you get on a hot day on the road.
Wow.
It gets pretty hot.
Yeah, we know all
sometimes in
about getting
Ontario.
hot on the road. You can cook an egg on the road here.
Yeah, exactly.
something
It's like
weird?
that's the only explanation that it comes to my mind for that. Otherwise, it's just weird.
This one is a man has no
That's my
reflection.
guess.
This is what it is.
Port
Check it
Colborne
out.
is like one of the most boring places.
Wait, I don't know. Okay, so I don't know what you're saying. You're filming the guy that stole it? No, look, just keep watching.
So look in the mirror. Keep your eye on the mirror. The guy's walking past. Watch what happens.
Wait, I know. What? I know. Like, how is that? I don't know. What the? It's crazy.
I'll play that again for you. Oh, wrong.
I gotta get somebody's phone put down. Of course. No, he's gonna freak out. Wait, I don't know. Okay, so I don't know what you're saying. You're filming the guy that stole it? No, look, just keep watching. It's crazy. Wait.
Oh.
I know. What? I know. Like, how is that? I don't know. It's
All right. So you saw that? No reflection. What's going on there? Is he a vampire or what? See, there's that guy's reflection. The lady's still being
I don't know.
reflected. And the other guy, or is he wearing something, clothes, or look, could be a setup? He looks pale.
Oh wait, no, there was a video cut there.
There
There was?
was. I saw it.
Let's have another look at it.
Unless I'm lagging or something. Like the guy in the top left, that's where he is. He's there.
Here he comes.
The guy in. See, there was a cut though. There was a video cut before he turned around. So I don't know. It might be
They might have cut him
real,
out.
but I could see how
Yeah.
he'd be able to fake it.
Let's see if I've got anything else for you. Interesting.
It's kind of weird that if you look in the reflection of that mirror when he's walking by and you don't see his reflection, everybody else in the frame is like perfectly still on both sides of the mirror.
Possibly, yeah. Call it BS. It was BS. Call it out.
That's what got me.
And there is a
this
video
one's-
cut. There is a video cut. Like, right. Oh, maybe there wasn't a video cut.
Do you want to see it one more time?
It's definitely not a mirror. Okay, when he walks past that's not a mirror. That's a painting. When they walk past it, yeah, okay, that's fine. That's a mirror. But there's a video cut and they change it to a painting. And no one's moving when he walks past it.
Yeah, no one's moving. Yeah, that guy behind. The guy with see the fella in the back trying the shoes on, sitting down. He's still moving. Look at his hands. His hands still move. Have another look. Watch his hands. This one here. All right. Just keep watching him. He moves the entire time. I think he does anyway. His hands are still moving. See, his hands are still moving. Oh, no, I don't know, Polly. I don't know. All right, I've got one more for you.
Something.
And then I'm going to play something real funny, but
about that.
I might get copyrighted, so I'm going to leave it to the last one. Driving.
I wish I could play my soundboard. Excuse
Yeah,
me,
right.
I have a question for you.
This is driving through a Titan's body. Oh. Check this out.
Well, that looks like fun.
Yeah. So what he's saying is that a giant died there, and you're driving inside their intestines or something. How would you know where to go? That's what I want to know. Look, you get straight driving. It's like, what? Where the fuck am I going?
That's the intestines.
I don't think you have a choice.
Long way to go.
It is. It's pretty long. And see how it winds around? So it's some part of the inside body. Some part of an inside body.
That looks like fun, though.
Yeah, right. It'd be more fun if you're on maybe a bike or a skateboard or something. I don't know about the car. Oh, it's pretty hairy, and it's dark in there.
Is it actually a car?
Yeah, they're driving through. You'll see them when they come out the other end. See, there's the other end. Is that the mouth, or what part of the joint's that? Hey, how's that for a ride? All right, I got one more thing, and it's funny, but I might get copyrighted for it, and they might cut me off. If they do, we'll say goodbye now. If they don't, we're going to laugh our heads off. And since we had a show with War on Drugs, we're going to watch something funny about it. If I can find it. Where did it go? I showed it to you, Polly, remember? So the dangers of driving and drugs, and it's just not good.
They call this feral country, and a little further down the road I discovered why. A couple of long-haired layabouts high on the happy herbs blocking my path. I'm usually helping out city slickers in flash four-wheel drives. These dreadlock doll bludgers were a whole new breed. G'day, what seems to be the problem?
I won't go, man.
Okay, how long have you been here for?
Oh,
You guessed it. These hopeless hippies had broken down. And it turned out the only tools they had were themselves.
Don't get you started.
Absolutely pathetic. These people got no idea. What they need is a decent four-wheel drive and a good toolkit. A bottle of shampoo wouldn't go astray either.
Cookie?
Yeah, thanks very much. That's fine. Oh, homemade. Very nice. If you ask me, travelling through remote areas like this without so much as a basic toolkit should be a crime. But thanks to my years of experience at the Institute of Bush Mechanics, I soon spotted the problem.
Looks like it might be electrical. Where's your fuse box? Oh, it's in the back, I think.
Along with their stash of wacky weed, no doubt. Lucky for these losers, I'd come along. Bandit, it's up here! Oh. Otherwise, I'd still be sitting around in a drug-induced state.
Yeah, it might give me
Thanks to my
copyright
help,
warning.
those beatniks soon had their car back on the road.
So from what I know, you're allowed to play a bit and then talk about it and then keep going.
Well, I mean, it's like, could you vilify people more with a substance? I mean, stereotypes.
I'll leave it
There
there.
are all kinds of people who do all different kind of drugs, and they're not alike.
I'll leave it there because I don't want to get into trouble. And as you can tell, he didn't know that them cookies are...
They were nice cookies, I guess.
They were nice cookies, yeah.
Those cookies made him feel like a mosquito on the windshield.
That's funny. So I hope you're right there, Ken. I don't want to get copyright, but just in case. What's going on here? Everybody's gone. Is that what they're doing? All right, so we're going to wrap it up now. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. Learned a bit about the war, learned a bit about the Bunyip and the Irish water dog. And hope I don't get copyrighted. So thank you for coming, Jules and Polly.
Thank you for having me.
Always.
And yeah, stay centered. Crowded loves you. Stay happy, laugh, and don't worry about if anyone thinks you're mad. Just keep laughing. And yeah, love to you on this day, and we'll see you next week, I suppose. Yaloo. We'll go out with a bit of StreamYard's music. We'll go out with StreamYard's music. I'm learning to use all this stuff. Eh? We'll go out. We'll rock it out. So rock out your week. I hope you have a good week. We'll see you next week. I've put a email on my page for people that want to email me. You can. And if you want to see something interesting, you can email me and give me suggestions. If you want to hear from anyone of our guests, you can email me. And the email is Gday, it's Saturday, at gmail.com. Yeah, so I couldn't put Gday because that was already taken. So just Gday, it's Saturday at gmail.com. And you can email us here on Gday, it's Saturday. And until next week, we'll see you later. Yaloo.
Yaloo.
Stay
right.
safe. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Where's my rock music? Here we go. Yaloo.